Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Talking about topics and stuff. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam podcast. Who? What? Where? Why? Good evening and welcome to Absolute Bedlam podcast, showing no signs of stopping once again off the back of the Billy Sheehan episode because I'm skint and I need something to do. So tonight on the show, I have my favourite Twitch streamer of all time because I've been watching Twitch for about 2.5 years. So I've gone and got Chris Purchase, aka Papa Glitch, on the podcast, and I think we might have booked this in October, but my schedule has been fucking nuts.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
So Papa Glitch is a variety PG Twitch streamer. So children is a bit.
No, it's a mature streamer. It's not PG.
Okay.
I'm PG. It's.
And as you can probably tell, Chris has, if you watch his streams, which I highly recommend you do, he's clearly lost the fucking plot. And I am here for it because I think the way that you interact with your chat and the way that you almost derail yourself sometimes, like someone will put in the chat like, I ate broccoli earlier, and you'll just go into like full on like, I fucking ate broccoli.
I used to. I love it now. Seasoning's the key. You need to put salt and pepper on it. Sorry. Yeah, soy sauce as well. Just saying.
So yeah, welcome Papa Glitch to Absolute Bedlam. How has your day been?
It's been all right. It's been a bit. We've streamed. You were there for some of it. We did our 2 hours. Started again at midday. It's bank holiday now. We're recording on a bank holiday. It's very quiet. Went out. Stood in a post office queue for 45 minutes. To send a Game Boy game to someone. That it's all the fun of the fair. Cooked dinner, had a 6K walk, those kind of things. It's been a good day.
How many steps have I done today? 12,473.
Oh, you've doubled me because I'm at 6,007. So that's great. Where did you go, Ben?
Me and my girlfriend went on a bit of a coastal walk. And
nice.
I'm a bit of a sucker for a plan, as you can probably tell. I'm quite organised.
Have a plan.
And sometimes I just want to throw my toys out the pram and say, fuck it, let's just walk and just see where we end up.
It's a good idea.
Providing I've got my bottle of water with me. You know, sky's the limit. Hopefully I don't end up in the Nevada desert.
This is what happens, by the way, listeners and watchers. We're both clutching bottles of water. When you hit a certain age, it's 30, you immediately have a bottle. You don't know where it came from. Yeah. And as you hurtle towards 40, which is what I am this year, you will gather more and more until you find your best bottle. And that's when you know you've peaked and the end is near. Absolutely. So that's a sign. I mean, this is a harbinger of death. You can see I've even got like a little dent. This means that I'm towards the end now, is that I found my best favorite bottle, which means I've got like a year left most.
Yeah.
This is hurtling towards the void now.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'm all walked out, so I'm a bit tired, to be completely honest, but we will prevail because
what does yours do? Mine I think of like my mum. So like my wife's got one that says, you did your steps, like you've got a set amount, whatever your set amount is, and it goes, you did your steps, congratulations. Hers is like, woo, well done, go take a rest. Mine says, if I hit my steps, which are 10,000 for the day, so I'm going to go out after this, mine says, good start, and I'm like, fuck you, good start.
Have you got the
Thanks,
patronizing watch, the patronizing update?
Yeah, I got an A. Oh, well, it could have been an A star. You did what you asked.
Mine just vibrates and says 10,000 steps. And then shortly afterwards, especially when I'm jogging, it immediately says 6 miles achieved.
That's nice.
But mine's quite a cheap sort of, my girlfriend's got an Apple Watch and it tells her what fucking blood type she has, what pets she's owned and what her mother's maiden name is. And it's all a bit unnecessary in my opinion. But
Apple Watches creep me out.
Yeah,
they can. You know, they can call the. Do you know they can call the police if you
emergency mode or whatever?
Yeah. That scares. I mean, it's a great idea, but at the same time, it scares. Imagine if you did it by accident. Imagine you're having a wank and it goes off. Imagine having to call them. No, it went. Sorry, no, I was just the vinegar stroke and someone bangs on the door. Oh, 1 minute. It's just not like, you don't want that. That's too much. I like mine.
Yeah.
Mine's quite. I got this couple. When I got into running, I got this because I ended up doing a half marathon in the end. I was 26 stone, and I thought I've got to do something about this. So I ran from it. I got this, and this is like a Samsung one, and it's good because when you're wearing earphones, it vibrates in the air and it goes, "You have done 1 kilometer," and it's really motivating. Whereas before it used to do it out loud, and I didn't like that because it's updated its firmware. It used to be running along, and then it would shout at people as you pass them, "You have done 1 kilometer." It's like having a little herald with you, like a little squire. Chris has done 6K as you run past families, and they'd be like, "Fuck off." And
nice.
That's I did like that, but I prefer it in my ear now. But I don't. An Apple Watch creeps me out. I do not want to accidentally set it off. You know, you put up a picture, they come. You don't hear them because you're back. How long have you been doing it? I don't know. Putting it on the wall. They come around. They're like, "What's going on?" That's just, they've got better things to do than your Apple Watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got better things to do than rescue you.
Absolutely. There we go. If there's one thing we've learned in the first 7 minutes of this, it's take your Apple Watch off before you have a wank.
Take your Apple Watch off before anything. Only I haven't put it in a box under your bed, sealed with concrete poured over it, because it knows one day it'll wake up. You'll be asleep, and do you know what? When you're asleep, I reckon it's there going, "Buy Apple products," just whispering. You're lying on it, and it's like, "Buy, you need a new iPhone."
Yeah,
that's what it does. It does that. Bury it.
We sell a lifestyle here at Apple Corp, and we want you to be part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Keeps the cool away. Just like things like that in your ear. Weird shit.
Fuck Android. Fuck them.
It is. It's a cult.
There we go. Right. So let's start at the beginning. So, Chris, what were you like at school?
I was very different at school, mate. I was quite quiet, a bit of a recluse, very much into my like geeky stuff. I liked Power Rangers. Big fan. I was bullied a lot at school, which was weird for someone as big as I am now. But then I wasn't as big. I was quite short when I was tall. Like, I hit a point, so I was like short for ages, and then I was tall after about 7, and then I started 12. I hit 6'2", or I was 13. I was 6'2", and then that was it. That was it forever. Yeah. But I thought that's probably enough. No one needs to be that. But I was good. I was good at school, but I didn't see the point of it. That was my problem. So I'd get I went to a normal school. I got bullied a lot for being fat, and my brother got bullied a lot. We both went to the same school, and we got bullied a lot for being fat. We hated it. He went to a normal secondary. I went to one of those special gifted children ones, the grammar school. I had to do a test to get in and stuff. And quite frankly, I didn't see the point. I was like, this is. I just feel like I'm being pushed harder for no reason. Sorry, you can hear my chair going. I'll stop.
Yeah, that's all right.
I quite frankly, it was pointless. But I went to this school. I was told I was going to be I was a genius, and I was going to get A's. I didn't. I got 1 B, 8 C's, and a D. I still remember that. But I did get to go on Robot Wars. So obviously that's the most important thing about school. Yeah, no, I was a recluse. I was studious and liked reading a lot. I used to read 4 or 5 books a week and stuff like that. And I was obviously undiagnosed ADHD, and I knew all of the words to all of the scripts for Red Dwarf, but I couldn't tell you anything about physics. So it was actually physics I was good at. It was biology was a problem. So that is what's got. I ended up becoming. I went to that school, and then in sixth form I went to a different Church of England school because I didn't get the grades to go into the special school sixth form. And in there I ended up wearing a lot of makeup. That's what I did. Wore nail polish, trainers when I wasn't supposed to. I had the nickname Ingrow because I told everyone I had an ingrown toenail, so I could wear trainers. I wore a green suit to school because I thought it was cool. Had a haircut that looked like I'd never had a haircut before. Or the last time I had it was the 14th century. It was good. We had geeky friends. That was it. Ended up drinking a lot, as you did. I mean, I don't know how old you are, Ben, but it used to be when I was younger that drinking was a thing you did from the age of 15, 14. Yeah. I don't encourage that.
Yeah. I'm 32, and I can definitely relate to that towards the end of my secondary school. Yeah. There's a place in Weymouth called the Rodwell Trail, which is this massive like path that used to be a bridleway that you could put your horses on.
Right.
And down there was a couple of places. There was one called Two Post, and it was literally two posts at the edge of the beach. And you'd go there and get annihilated. And sometimes it got a bit crazy because there were boats like upturned. And people would try and set fire to them. So I had to explain to a bunch of pissed up people, because I'm quite sensible. I've always been very sensible my entire life. Never smoked, very rarely drink, never done drugs, nothing like that. I had to explain to a load of pissed up people that if you set fire to something that contains fiberglass, there's a very high chance it might come back in your face.
Yeah. You'll be breathing that forever, mate. That's what that is. Have you ever wanted to see what would happen if your lungs had gone through a cheese grater? That's what it is. I'm so as you. I used to drink heavily. I gave it up 3 years ago, but I used to drink because as a comedian, you're in nightclubs and stuff like that. But as a kid, we did drink, but I never did drugs. I wasn't that. I think I tried it. I tried weed a couple of times. That is how many times I tried it. Listen to that. I tried the weed. I can even remember the time I tried it, but it's never been my thing. And I think again, it was because I you'll know from the streams, but the audience though, is that I was undiagnosed ADHD. So until when I found out last year, so then like when I tried it, it didn't do the things everyone said it would do, and I was like, oh well, I guess that doesn't work. Then I guess there's something. I guess I'm immune. Is why I'm immune to weed. But no, just different brain. But it was not my thing. But same. Then I went to university, did a uni degree in psychology. Ended up dropping out halfway through because I was going to be a dad. So that was while I was at uni, I had 2 jobs. I was working at Games Workshop and I was selling credit cards at the same time, not dodgy ones, just but for Citibank. Like real ones. So that was with school. Yeah. Boring.
Awesome. So now we're going to move on to the first time that I popped into your streams, and I've been racking my brains hard today, and I don't have a fucking clue where I found you, but I'm glad I did. And I remember specifically, you might remember this, pointing out the fact that you were streaming with a Kallax draw unit from IKEA behind you.
Yeah, it's just here.
And I said to you have a cool Kallax unit because it had all your sort of Dungeons and Dragons multi-sided die, and it had a sort of neon light that would stream this like word of the day, or it would have like a sentence.
Oh, that was these. Yeah, that was the glasses. I still wear them every now and then on stream. Yeah.
And you were like, absolute bedlamp podcast. I've no fucking idea what a Kallax unit is. Please explain to me.
What's that?
That was a weird moment because I'm used to watching people like Ninja, Dr. Disrespect, like massive streamers, and you just see this chat just going fucking mad, and there's no way that anyone will be able to read anything that anyone writes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I felt like I was actually having a conversation with you. And that's basically the reason that I've been sticking around, is because you'll always like when I start I start watching you, I host you nearly every time you're online.
Thank you. It doesn't tell me, anymore.
No,
it used to tell me.
It's broken.
But I don't know. So sometimes it will go, this person's hosting, and then sometimes it will say, it won't tell me anything.
And sorry, that's all right. Like on Clockwork, you go, hey, Bedlam.
Hi, Bedlam. Like, hey. I try to greet everyone. The thing is, so my years of being, obviously I've been a stand-up comedian for 13 years, but when you MC, people come into the room, you say hello, or you greet them, but also I just polite. I don't get it. Like you say, you see those streamers, it's like, and you're like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just do it somewhere else? Why do you even have your chat turned on when all that is just like data, just like you can't possibly read that. There's nothing good can come of what's happening in that. No one's answering anyone, no one's responding to anyone. Whereas like with small streamers like me, you got what we get like a maximum of 20 25, usually around the 15 in the daytime, and we used to get more, but obviously everyone's gone back to work, and now it's just like a little conversation. We do some fun stuff, we have a chat. I try to keep up with it. You want to be like, oh yeah, that person said something interesting, let's make sure we acknowledge that. Obviously if someone's being a knobhead, we ignore them, and the mods kick them out, or Claire kicks them out. But if they're not, if people are being nice, or sometimes there's a big language barrier on Twitch, it's international, that someone not trying to be a knobhead, they're just French or They don't have like they don't have that's English isn't their first language. I don't know why I
Yeah.
went French. It's because we had
That's
it
all right.
today
Yeah,
where
yeah.
I was talking in French today on stream. It's the only language I can converse in on stream. I'm learning Spanish at the moment, so
All right.
I'm learning Spanish. I've got to top up my French, and then I'm going to be learning Cantonese. So I'm trying to learn. I want 5 by the time I'm 45.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
I've got 2.
Hmm.
So, but Cantonese takes 2 years apparently. So I've got to rush
Okay.
Spanish.
So I'm going to Spain in 2 weeks. I'm
Aha.
doing my little Pokemon Go holiday that I mentioned to you, and you
Oh
were like,
yeah, that's
"That's
so
the
cool.
fucking coolest thing ever."
That's so cool. Just going on a holiday for Pokemon Go. That tells me that you don't have children. That's what that says. Is you're like, yeah, I'm going to just do a whimsical holiday to play Pokemon Go, and I'm like, do you know what I have to do to play Pokemon Go? I have to walk around car parks.
Yeah, I've seen your comedy sketch. Go check that out, everyone. That's hilarious on YouTube.
Oh, but no, it's true though. So going to like a weird field near my house. You can't. That would cost so much. So where are you going in Spain? Where's this?
Seville.
Seville. Okay,
It's
so
a massive event. It's
Yeah.
me about 3 years ago now when we could actually go places. Imagine that. We went to
Right.
Dortmund, and that was
Where's
called
Dortmund?
Pokemon Go Fest. That's in Germany.
Right.
And
Okay.
honestly, I was quite scared because there was a lot of people there. And when
Right.
Pokemon Go Fest ended, it
Yeah.
honestly felt like Dortmund had been invaded.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thousands of people descending on Dortmund.
Yeah.
And they all had their phones out. Because I always think of Pokemon Go as like the most anti-social social game ever created.
It is. It is.
And there's
I love
people
it.
in these like little sort of huddles all doing raids.
Yeah. Yeah.
The legendary raid, you need to do like 7 or 8 people to take this massive boss down, like a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
There was just like, it felt like COVID had become like personified.
Oh, what? They're in like groups.
Clouds of people. Like, stay away from the clouds of people.
Don't touch them.
But
Don't breathe them in.
It was good though.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I see them here because we live in a touristy town, and they come up here in groups, and they do like on Saturdays and Sundays, and you see them wandering around. It's brilliant. Where they're all wandering around with their battery packs, and you're like, "That's definitely a Pokemon Go group." And then they'll stop outside the building I know is a gym, and I'll be like, "Yes, I was right. I was right." Because I'm a geek, but my wife isn't really a geek. So I'll be like, they're Pokemon goers. And she's like, yeah, but I can tell without knowing anything about it that they are. And I'm like, I know. And everyone's wearing like Pokemon tops. And it's, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I know that you know, but at the same time, isn't it lovely? They're out of the house.
Yeah.
It's not expensive. It's not expensive of it unless you fly to Seville or Dortmund. Then it's an expensive of it. That's how they've made it expensive is travel.
Yeah.
They've combined the two things geeks that who knew that was what geeks wanted. They Pokemon and travel. That was the one thing no one had thought. They want to get them out of the house. It's the one thing you did the thing. Pokemon Go did the thing. Parents of geeks have been trying to do forever, ever since they invented geekery. I don't know when that was. By John Geek in 1926. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds real. I just love the fact that Niantic have got together in this massive boardroom and they've got this Venn diagram of like Pokemon walking, socializing, going outside, and getting on a plane.
Yeah.
And at some point there was an intersection, and they went,
yeah,
that's because there was one in Liverpool, but it got cancelled because it was a week before like lockdown and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone was about to do something when lockdown happened.
Yeah. I had 2 gigs. Our gigs were like dropping off as a comic, and I had literally got 2 shows in my own hometown that I'd booked. And like one of them I thought was going to go ahead with the Friday one. And then the Tuesday dropped off and I was like, God damn it. And then the Friday dropped off. And actually what happened first was all the performers dropped out of it. And then it was like the Thursday I was panicking. So I was trying to rebook it and no one wanted to travel because we didn't have lockdown. And then they were like, it's going to lock down. And then and then we had cancel the event. But yeah, we're still like fulfilling shows from there. So things people have paid for, that we had, like we got one on Friday that we'd already sorted and we've had to rebook it several times, and we're fulfilling them like I'm running out the diary. So it's crazy how many, or wild I should say, how many of these are still happening. So
there we go. Right, next question, and you can palm this one off as you're just being silly.
No,
is you strike me as someone kind of like myself in terms of that you come across on stream and on Zoom and in a virtual world as very, very self-confident. And I
Right.
want to know where that comes from if you agree with it. And it's fair enough if you don't agree with it.
It comes from having no filter, and I can tell you that I never really think I've got a problem because confidence and self-esteem are two different things.
Yeah.
So I am quite confident but have very low self-esteem. So that's always been you probably just heard a motorbike driving past. That's lovely.
That's all right.
That wasn't me farting. I just wanted to clear it up.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm confident. I just don't care. Like, I don't really, it's not really about confidence. It's about not being bothered. Like, me talking to someone is fine. I used to do it all the time. Chat to people in McDonald's, chat to people in a shop. Yeah, I think that's what I mean. People say confident. I say just not bothered. Like, I'm not that worried about having a chat. And also, I don't know when to stop. That's my key. Yeah, no, I think, would you say that's confident? What would you say the key tenets of confidence are? What would you say it mean?
The ability to have a conversation with anyone is absolute top of the mountain, but also the ability to relate the conversation back to the person that you're talking to. Yeah. So if they're obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons or Minecraft and you just talk to them about leasing a car on 0% APR finance, they're probably going to switch off and be like, I'm going to go over here and speak to the other Dungeons and Dragonites. Yeah. Whereas you can tailor and you can assimilate, if that's the word, to that person.
So I've been told my wife is the exact opposite to me. I'm an extrovert, she's an introvert, and I have been by her. She was like, "This is a valuable skill, and most people don't have it." And I was like, "I don't see it as a skill because it comes very naturally to me." So I can talk to anyone. The thing is, it's always a bit. You have to be careful who you talk to, because I've got into some trouble on trains and shit from just having a chat. Hey, oh God, you're a weirdo. Yeah, sure. No, I shouldn't have done that. Also, I find that there's no downside to it, whereas there is a downside if you can't. Like, I've got a taxi guy now. So I ordered a taxi once from the airport to take me from my house to the airport when I was doing some stuff for a company in another country. I was trying not to. I realized I wasn't allowed to tell you any of those things. Of all of the different bits, and because I was chatting to him. But he's now Mohammed, his name. He's lovely, and now I call him every time I want a taxi, and he gives us £5 off, 10 quid off, and that's all it is. It's just having a chat, asking him how his day's going, asking about his family. It's easy, mate, and also warms you up for the next conversation. Just the little engine going.
I think this would be a pretty shit podcast if I couldn't talk to people.
Well, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Lean into it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There's podcasts like that. I've listened to lots. You've probably listened to them where you're like, no, you know what you should have done? You should have done jazz. That's what you not podcast.
I think there's a lot of famous people that think that this is easy, and it's not. And to keep the conversation flowing and to try and sort of bounce off of each other is actually a skill in itself. And I think a lot of people during lockdown thought that they could have a go because they had a microphone. Whereas there's the whole 8 podcast thing. I don't know if you know about this, but a lot of people go into podcasting full steam ahead for 8 episodes and then they completely drop off because they're not getting the validation they think they deserve.
I can relate to that.
I upload videos on YouTube and they get no views for 6 days. That's the reality of actually putting yourself out there and giving it a go. And I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yeah, I've started so many podcasts, but I can actually relate to that with a story. I was talking to a reasonably famous comic pre-lockdown, before I even got into streaming, because I got into streaming during lockdown. Yeah. And he was saying, these streamers, all they have to do is talk to a camera. Mm-hmm. It's easy. And I have to say, and I was like, and at the time, I had no idea because I hadn't done it. I was like, all right, then maybe, I don't know. He was like, this kid, I was working with this guy and he'd earned hundreds of thousands. And all he did was he spoke into a camera 2 to 3 times a day, 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And that was it. And that's all he did. And he played games. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. Cool. I didn't know anything about it. Then when I started streaming, Jesus, streaming is so much harder than stand-up comedy. Streaming is so much harder. Just being able to do that patter where you talk and stuff. And that is the same for podcasts. Trying to hold the attention of the listener, that's you. in the background there. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And I would say it's harder, especially if you don't have lines. Stand-ups do learn. Like I write, normal stand-ups write an hour every year. You learn it, you do 20 minutes a weekend, you do like the same 20, 30, 40 minutes, depending on where your slot is, over every weekend, over the days, over your things. We do like streamers do like 2 to 3 hours daily, and you've got to be entertaining of new stuff, and you don't have a team of writers.
It's very
different. Sorry, Ben.
Definitely.
I will keep talking if you don't stop me.
That's fine. No worries. When I was doing this just audio a couple of months ago, I suppose. I've only just really started YouTube, but when this was just me on my phone having a conversation, talking to the microphone, whereas now I've upgraded and gone to a laptop and the Lambo's outside.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think I kind of tried to force the relatability, and I wanted people to sort of come over to Absolute Bedlam, like, Art Attack, where there's that weird, like, come this way.
Yeah,
and,
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
And I was like, do you remember dial-up? And it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm not here to
like that.
do that. Like, yeah, I want to talk to people that are interesting. I don't want to remind them about fucking post office. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, that was my story.
That's it.
No, but that's everyone starts like that. Everyone starts with, what's the deal with airline food? Like they're trying to be like, but really the closer you are to to being your true self, the more entertaining and relatable you are. It's weird because it's a Jerry Seinfeld quote, and it's the closer you are to being you, the funnier you are. So the further away you are, where you're like, hey guys, then that's where you're like not funny and it's culty. But when you're sitting there talking about it and you're having an honest conversation, you let your brain just go wherever it's going to go. That's when you are more interesting to listen to. And when I've taught, because I used to teach stand up, but I used to teach them how to overcome anxiety with it. And one of the things was stop trying to be funny and just try and be and just be you. Just talk until you feel the natural pacing. It's something that people don't know how to do. They've got to get out their own way, Ben.
That's it. Right, so we've got about 7 minutes, and then we're going to go to a quick ad break. So if we can try and condense this down into 7 minutes. But I do like listening to you talk, Chris. That's why I watch you daily on Twitch, so it's all good. How did you get into comedy as a possible career choice? What was the bucket? Let's give it a go.
The truth is, I had like a midlife crisis. I've been stuck in IT for ages. I hated it every day. It earned quite good money, but I was like, surely this can't be it. Surely this can't be the only thing. And I had 2 daughters, and I thought to myself, I can't possibly look at my 2 daughters and go, you can be anything, when I'm working myself to death doing being an IT manager. And I was like, right, we're going to take a big financial hit, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and if it does, it does. And I was doing both at the same time at one point. So I was like, every night I was going out doing comedy, and during the day I was doing IT. And I was like, no, I'm gonna have to. One has to go. So I ditched. I don't love IT, so I ditched it, and it worked. So which was lucky, bloody lucky, really. So that was it. There you go.
Safe. Love
Robin
it.
Williams was my inspiration. If that's it. If you wanted that as well.
Right, let's quickly go to a break, because the next question I'm going to ask you, I think, could be quite a long one. Absolute Bedlam. Shanty Spirit, based in Bournemouth, UK. Dorset Botanical Seaweed Vodka. So I met these at Bournemouth Air Show 2 years ago, and I wanted to get them on the podcast, which I've done in the previous episode. And I wanted to speak to them and promote their products because I think they're onto a winner. So this is vacuum distilled for fresher flavours. Lots and lots of different seaweeds go into this amazing vodka. Doesn't taste like the usual stuff that you get from the supermarkets. It's got a bit of a sort of story to it and a bit more of a twist. It's had some awards, and I'm hooking you guys up. If you go to www.shantyspirit.com and you type in the code Bedlam discount for either 20cl or 70cl bottles, then you'll get 10% off your purchase. Shanty Spirit, drink to enjoy, drink responsibly. Absolute Bedlam. We now are on Zoom 2, the tricky sequel.
Yep.
So, what changed your attitude and your process from being a comedian in a physical club in the real world to a virtual online environment?
I mean, there was a big. I don't know if you heard about it. It was the pandemic happened.
Oh yeah.
It's just that's that's not really my job over. Like like we were talking about in the first half. The overnight doing comedy live became illegal. Like we couldn't go into pubs. Pubs weren't open. We couldn't do clubs. It was literally like they just said your job's illegal, and I was like, oh Jesus! And so all of my full diary. So at the time, do you know what was ironic? Was in February, just before it. I was like, oh, we're finally comfortable. My career, because I was the breadwinner. My wife's an artist, and at the time, like they're different, but now our wages are very similar. And I was like, oh, we're comfortable. We can do this now. We can both chill out, and you can work on your art, and I can work on this, and we can just tick along nicely. And just as it happened, it like, and then suddenly she was, and I was like, oh God. But yeah, it's to be fair. And then what happened was I did that. So I started doing one live show, just like everyone did during the pandemic. We didn't know what the hell we were going on. We were watching Joe Wicks. We were all eating banana bread. We didn't know what was going on. And I was like, oh, I've got like a month and a half's worth of money. Hopefully we'll be open again by then. We weren't. I was making I was bored at home and a creative. So I was making little sketches. You can still see them. They're still up. I was doing like every Sunday I was doing this like from the dining room show, which was called in the dining room or from the dining room. I can't remember. It's been 2 years now. And it was every Sunday I'd just do this live comedy show, and it was an update on the it was like a, I was trying to be John Oliver basically. And it was fun. And I had it up. I had all of the news. I'm looking at it. It's in front of me. Like there's a big 10-foot whiteboard on my dining room wall. And I'd had all the news written up there for the week. And I'd just make up jokes about it live. And I'd talk to the chat. And when it started, I had like 100, 200 people in all watching. And we'd like a Zoom call, but it was on Facebook Live. And it was good fun. And then as it progressed, as the pandemic progressed and we locked down again and again, I moved over to YouTube, because Facebook is like a hellscape. And I'll tell you actually what happened. I've got a page up on Facebook which I hardly use, which used to have 8,000 followers. I think it's got something closer to 6,000 now. And when the pandemic started, it was showing it to my followers. It was like, here he is, he's gone live, go and watch. And then 1 week, just suddenly it showed it to 9 people, and like no one else knew. And then it did that every time, and I was like, well, that can't work. So I moved over to YouTube, but everyone wasn't moving over to YouTube, so I came over to Twitch, and I was kind of dual streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Anyway, it just got to the point where we locked down so many times, and I was doing Zoom gigs as well. So I do corporate Zoom gigs for clients. I do like comedy shows, but for clients. So I had all this set up, and then I was teaching people. So I was consulting for businesses on how to do corporate Zoom shows, Zoom presentations. So I was doing all of this because stand-up still wasn't happening. And I was just like pivoting, just trying to do all this other stuff, trying to keep myself occupied. And then I just got into Twitch, and I was like, I really love it here. I really love the people. It's my kind of thing. I'm like a gamer. I'm a geek. I love all the people there. I love the culture. The culture in stand-up is very different to Twitch. And then I was doing it every day. And I got so many opportunities from Twitch. I was doing these things called, I don't know if you've been on one. We used to do field trips, and they were like digital trips to countries without going there, like through Google Earth and stuff. And someone was watching Twitch and was like, oh, I work for a theatre. Would you do this for us? You could do the same ones you do on stream, but through our feed, but for kids. And I was like, yeah. So then I was doing like Zoom field trip. So I was taking like a group of 30, 40 kids to Egypt, and I was telling them Egyptian folk stories, and I took them to Iceland. You can still see them. They're all up on YouTube. I was taken to Iceland. I was like, oh, these are the caves. I'm waving this because it's on the green screen. And I was like, look, here's the ice caves of this. And then I tell them a folk story, and I'm like, these are the trolls of this, and this is Baphomet. And it was so good and so fun. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So then I got stuck in it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And now I've upgraded all my stuff. So the lights and the computer. I say that I've got the same computer, same laptop. Everything you see is off of a laptop, which is why sometimes I'm like, yeah, I know you can hear a helicopter, but or it's not that, it's my laptop. Can't control it. But yeah, it just got, and then when everything opened up again, it was the same money as it's always been, and I could earn the same here as I could from a gig if we take out the travel. So the travel is so much like the expenses for being a stand-up comedian. So you got your travel, you got your hotel rooms if you need to stay somewhere, food if you need to travel, and you'd be like driving for 7 hours total. And I didn't need to do any of that. I could spend more time with my kids. So I was like, yeah, this is perfect. And I'm in control. You know, I can do, look, what's this? It looks how I want it to look, not, you know, I kick people out if they're horrible or invite people in when I like them. You know, it's lovely. And I get to do things like this.
There we go. So, right, real talk.
Real talk.
What do you honestly think of Twitch as a platform?
I think it has so many faults, it's ridiculous. I think that if there was a viable alternative that offered very similar, maybe slight differences, we'd all move over.
Yeah.
Genuinely. It is, discoverability is awful. Yeah. They don't pay properly. The advertising even is done really stupidly when they put it at the beginning of the stream. So sometimes you'll drop onto a stream.
Fuck that out of mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I do it. I do it as a career, and I'm like, no, I'm not watching. Like I click on my mate's thing. I'm like, well, I'm not subbed to him. Oh, 3 minutes of no, I'll drop across someone else. And it's like, and I won't like. I don't want people to sub to me. For example, I'll say, give me your coffee instead. Buy me a coffee instead of subbing to me. It costs the same. And you've seen on my channel, I will try and put more interactivity stuff in so that you don't have to sub, so that because no one uses your remotes and all over. I often say that Twitch seem to be actively sabotaging their own platform. Like they're never, and then YouTube and Facebook were like, we're going to try and beat Twitch. We'll do this. We'll do YouTube Live. We'll do Facebook Live. We'll do it. And they kind of went, okay, we've signed up all these people, and then stopped. They just didn't bother with anything else. They were like, that's all we needed to do. And everyone was like, what? You were almost there, mate. You were almost there. Yeah. You almost had it. And YouTube's like, oh, I'm just a bit tired now. I did all that.
Yeah. What you've done here is you've made a car. It's road legal, but you've forgot to put the tires on it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. That's fine.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's now been sat under tarpaulin for 2 years.
It's fine. Just keep. And I think the thing is, what Twitch needs to do, it just needs like a tiny little tweak in places. It needs to pay people a better, like it needs to swap it to a 70-30 rather than a 50-50. And it needs to have a discoverability thing. So all it would need was like a TikTok or a shorts version of itself, which is, there's hover at the moment exists. And all it would need was like its own version of like TikTok or its own version of YouTube Shorts. Yeah. Or just make it properly discoverable just a little bit so that we can find, because at the moment some of the tags you have to put on there, one of mine is chatty. I'm like, who's looking up chatty? I don't know what that's for. But that's what I genuinely think about. I think it was made by people who were hobbyists and who loved the idea of that, and then it was taken over by capitalists, and they're still both in there, but one doesn't know how to do the other and the other doesn't know how to do that. So they're both like fighting against each other. So you've got people putting ads over stuff, and there's other ones going, just as long as we can keep streaming, just let us keep streaming. And it's like, your biggest thing should not be a Dungeons & Dragons show. There shouldn't be, you shouldn't have the top 10 streamers and they're only earning 3 million a year. It should be everyone is good. Everyone, like YouTube, where anyone can be big. Any video can be big.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So is Twitch your main job / source of income?
It is right now. Yes. As of this month. I am working to make that not be the case though. So you're going to see a lot of stuff coming out on YouTube and TikTok. He says, shaking it out soon. I've got a load of over here. You can't see it, but there's loads of lights, right? Just weird tech, that's just being like all over around me. I mean, like a bundle of it. That's while I make stuff and edit it. And so what I'm gonna do is hopefully Twitch becomes the tertiary one, and then there's like a kind of mix of YouTube and then live hosting things, not stand up, but like hosting shows and stuff. Then I do Twitch maybe 3 days a week. That's what I want to do rather than 5 days a week. And and really, instead of it being like every single one is a show, it's more like, let's chill out with some lovely people and we'll have a bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
That's all I want it to be, really. But yeah, just because of all the things I said before, Twitch just seems like it's on the edge of like either collapsing or changing forever. And I want to make sure it doesn't.
Also, like when Twitch changes, there's nothing you can do about it. Like it's
Exactly.
faceless. I've mentioned this to another streamer that I've had on recently called Affan.
Right.
And he was like, it's a faceless empire. And he was saying they could change every feature overnight. They could completely kill my emotes if I create them.
Yeah.
And I would have to concede that, and I would have to just carry on as if that had never happened. They could have gotten rid of raiding. They could have gotten rid of hosting or lurking.
Yeah.
All of these things that we rely on as an ecosystem. But
well, if you think about it, they got rid of usefulness of teams like overnight. Even while I've been on, where teams used to be, you could set it so that you'd auto host the team, and so if you weren't on your channel, you would drop over. Like if you weren't streaming, your channel would show the rest of your team. That's what you could have. They don't have that anymore. You don't. So if you're part of a team, that used to be like the main thing, so that the bigger streamers would then promote the smaller streamers because it would obviously show everyone else in the stream team. And now they're like, no, that's not what happens. If that happens, you go all the way down the ranking. So they have to go and find they have to go and find which streamers you'd recommend. So someone would have to click on a person, then click on that link. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, right.
So they took it away like last year.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Papa Glitch. How did my favorite character ever, Grimbles, come about?
Grimbles. Do you want me? Shall I bring him up?
Of course.
I don't see it. Grimbles, the best one. This is hello. He's the part of my brain that doesn't have a filter. Yeah. I just say normally I say things that are funnier. Yeah, you do. And I'm not a ventriloquist, so he speaks the same time as I do. Nah, I'm in control here. And he came about because don't tell him the real story. Okay, I'll tell you. Want me to tell the real story, or do you want me to tell him the fake one? It's all real to you. Okay, but it's real. So I like was just messing. We just messing around. Where one day we were on stream. We were like, let's have some fun. And and I was like, I could say things like bullshit, and you're still PG. Yeah, exactly. And and you give people life advice, don't you? Yeah, I like giving people advice. Like, you should fucking quit your shitty job and live. Otherwise, you're gonna die sad. Okay, mate. It's harsh, but he's true.
For example.
That is, I mean, we're right on topic there, buddy. Yeah, but unfortunately, what Chris didn't realize is I am green, and that is how green screen works. And we've just rolled with it. We've just rolled with it for 2 years, 2 fucking years, and I haven't got a face. Yeah, well, you got a nose. That's better than Michael Jackson.
Nice. Grimbles, do you ever get a day off?
Yeah, most days at the moment.
Okay.
To be fair, you haven't been around for a while, have you? You've been 1 day a week you get at the moment, like 2 days. Yeah, it's because Chris has been a bit busy and he keeps forgetting. I do. Sorry. I take my. It's So you came up today, I think, didn't you? No, you didn't. No, normally I come around if Chris has had a sad time. He won't talk about me or bring me up. Okay. Don't get that deep, mate. Wow, this is a very in-depth podcast. You don't need to say this. It's only when he's a bit sad, though. Okay. I'll go. I'll come back if you need me.
Yeah. I'll need you later, mate. No worries. Fantastic.
Well, I'll be in my trailer.
Okay. All right.
Which is a box.
He's a fucking.
With the other equipment.
He's a fucking diva, isn't he? That Grimbles.
Did you know that he's got an auntie? Have you ever met his auntie?
Auntie? No, I've never seen.
Hang on a second.
All right. Okay.
Are you getting Auntie G? I'm getting Auntie G.
Please hold, people.
Just tell. I'm Auntie G. Why are you laughing? I jack off. Gribble's been not down there. What did I tell you about wanking with that smartwatch on? Right, so she's.
Hey.
She was bought by a lovely, lovely friend called Lotta, who RTG just arrived in the post one day, and she very rarely pops up because again, trying to do R2G's voice. What are you saying? And so she says it's like Marge Simpson's on amphetamines. No, I'm on space dust. Okay, just sleep.
You made me cry.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Brilliant.
It's worse when your co-host is funnier than you. That's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Just I want Auntie G, is it, to remember that you sold some socks for 200 quid, right?
You know, how do you think I got her here?
She needs to stay in her lane.
Stay in your lane. I got a pair of them now.
Yeah. I got a pair of them. I love that you're like the bit underneath that we can't see is just this fucking Mary Poppins like utopian.
Oh mate,
that's how it looks like from what I can see.
At all times, I'm just like 10 seconds away from pulling out. There's also I've got a giant magnifying glass with a light here. I mean, there's a flute.
Yep, and a trumpet, right?
Trumpet's over there.
We'll get into the trumpet later because that made me fucking die. Awesome.
I haven't brought it back yet. I need to bring it.
Yeah. We'll do a reveal when the time is right.
Trumpet reveal, mate. Big trumpet.
So next question.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself doing Twitch for an extended period of time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going anywhere, and a lot of our future plans are based around me continuing to stream, at least mostly full time.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, no, what I want to do really is grow it. At the moment, I'm having a bit of an existential crisis. It's quite hard to know what to do because people are going back to work and the numbers are kind of all over the place and people aren't sure, you know, some people are working from home, some people aren't working from home.
Yeah.
I'm quite a mature streamer, so we don't necessarily want kids in the streams, you know, that kind of thing. So, and I don't game, which is what Twitch is for, really. I game very rarely. Like we have been playing more games, and that's why we've been playing more games recently, because I'm like, you have to think of a new idea every day. What are we going to do today? And it gets to a point after 2 years where you're like, it's been like nearly 700 shows or nearly like 500 shows. I don't know what we can do. Yes, but I have to have more ideas. But I think we've got, again, there's some things happening at the moment that take a lot of time to make.
Yeah.
We're going to change it a bit.
Not trying to sound like the messiah here, but I could probably set you up with a couple of people who have a really mental community at the moment, and they're just chatting people, and they seem to get some serious numbers. And I'm not going to go into specifics now, but I'll hook you up if you want. Obviously, it's worth a go, right? I'm not an agent by any stretch of the imagination. Imagine if this was like episode 97, and I'm like, actually, I'm a shill for Marvel Computing Company.
But yeah,
I
have to say, agents. I have had agents, and I have got rid of agents. And so, Ben, you never want to be an agent. Be a nice person. You want to be the good guy. Don't be the agent.
Okay, especially Agent Smith, right?
Agent Smith or Agent Orange.
Nice. How did you meet Waka? Speaking of your community, because he seems to you raid each other quite a lot.
Yeah, Waka just on streaming. We both like Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and we're both a bit wild. And we also, I think we both have that thing that I call chaotic wholesome, which is our D&D alignment, where we're a bit wild and a bit all over the place, but ultimately our only intention is joy. Like the only thing we really want is for everyone to have a good time. There's no like malice or political push behind it. We're not trying to do anything. And when I've met, and Brady's another one I've met as well, and Trista, and like all these people that we raid regularly, I'm like, this is that chaotic wholesome thing where they try to have a community that like each other rather than trying to be a celebrity. So they're like, let's have fun together rather than look at me, what am I doing? Which again, it's an entertainment platform. It's fine to do that. It's just that's a different mindset that I struggle with. So, but that's it. I was just like, we were just like looking through during the pandemic, every day we'd raid people. And I was like, oh, who can we raid? And I saw him there and it was like long hair, dressed as a Viking. I was like, that's fucking our vibe. That's our vibe. And I went in and he made up a song about me and then we just chatted and we've become friends. So lovely guy.
He's lovely. I want to get him on at some point, but where he's from Sweden and he's got quite a lot going on. And he was like, I'll definitely get in touch with you by the end of February. And that was 3
March.
months ago. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's all
You'd be
good.
lucky.
People are
He's
busy.
just had
People have
throat.
lives.
He just had his throat, like he just had an operation, so he's obviously still healing from that, isn't he?
Yeah. Awesome. Right. So, speaking of existential crises, try this one. Right.
Do it.
Do you think of being a content creator as running a marathon? I know that you used to personally run quite a lot, Chris, and I think it's quite a good comparison because I
It
go
is,
running quite a lot. And I think that if you sprint too much in a marathon, you'll burn yourself out and stop.
yeah.
Whereas the ideal scenario, whatever that means to people, is to set a proper nice pace
Yes.
and to just let people overtake people who are dying, and just keep going. And if people want to join you on your journey, then fair enough. Do you think that's the best way of doing this?
Yes, I have. I completely agree with you. And at the same time, still compete with myself and other people mentally. The comparison is the thief of joy. That's the saying. And so you do sit there and go, wait a minute. I was in front of them at one point, and now they're in front of me. This is why am I falling behind? And you do get down yourself. Of course you do. Of course you do. You do. You do. But yeah, it is a marathon. It is absolutely about the long run. And actually, people look at this and they look at the figures and they're like, oh, look, only the top 1%. I've said this on Twitter before. Only the top 1% become professional streamers. Only top 1% can earn a living from it or whatever. And what they don't take into account is the fact that that top 1% are actually quite a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people who are just stuck with it. They're not usually the better streamer. They're not usually have a gimmick. They don't usually have something special. They're not anything other than just there and continually growing. So they try something new. They do something better. They get a new bit of equipment. They learn a new game, or they're always trying something different. And eventually, and that's all it is. And it was the same with stand up. But really, like you say, you make the comparison with running. That's actually what helped me get better at everything, is because with ADHD you go all over the place, and I struggle with it my whole life. But when I learned to run, the thing that I learned about running was making the next step better, not worrying about the end of the race. And it was a mindset that took so long, like 3 months of just constantly every other day going out and running for half an hour, doing this like couch to 5K thing. And it was just about the next step, not about the end of the race. So I wasn't trying to make the half an hour good. I was trying to make each step good. And so not every step is going to be good. And so that is exactly right. That is what and I think that's the same in any industry, let alone streaming.
I agree. But I've done this for 8 seasons now, and I've heard that story from basically every single person, that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
No, you gotta have fun.
Learn to have fun. That's the first
Learn
thing.
to have fun. Yeah, I've said yes during when I was doing stand-up. I used to just say yes to everything, and it was great. It was absolutely great, but in times it was bad as well, and that was what you had to take. So, like, I used to work with Google. Like, I used to host their their European events. I'd like go away for 2 weeks and I'd host their events and I'd dress up in whatever the latest thing was. At one point it was HBO, so I was like dressed up as Jon Snow and I was doing raps about about Game of Thrones, and it was really fun. But then at other times I've shown up and it's been an old people's home, and I've had my mic turned off after 2 jokes, and I've had someone shout, "You should love your kids," from like across the room, and it's so you get. But I've said yes to all of them, and I've done all of them, because you can't just say this one. It's always got to be good. It's got to be that you love the whole process. And you don't love the bad ones, but then the good ones make up for it.
You got to really jump in nowadays. Like, I'm from a musical background, and you got to play the shit gigs to get to the good gigs, and sometimes the good gigs aren't enough. And there's a weird thing that goes on in the human brain called the hedonic treadmill.
Oh, right. What's that?
Constantly looking for the next thing, never ever settling. Like, I've got a Ferrari. Yeah, but what if I want 2 Ferraris? What if I want one in red and one in yellow? And I've just got a promotion. Yeah, but I want to run my own company now. And it's this constant, like I say, treadmill of life, of this never enough sort of mentality. And it's quite crazy, really, that we think like that, because
quite tough.
Animals aren't like that. Like, if a dog gets a bone, it's happy.
Well,
I think.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't. They lack future awareness, don't they? So that's
Yeah.
our problem. Is we always think it's going to be taken off of us.
Yeah, definitely. Funny question. Who would win in a fight, a shark, a reindeer, or a cow?
A shark, a reindeer, a cow. We all know it was the cow.
There
We
we
all
go.
know it was the cow. I didn't realize you were with us that long ago, Bedlam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
a cow. It's always been the cow.
I'll have to
Can't
check my
believe.
follow time on your stream, but I think I've been watching you for about a year and a half.
Cool. Yeah, so that's a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
suppose if we sorted this out. Yeah, so it is a cow, isn't it? I can't believe that. That was me going in a charity shop and finding 2 onesies for £5 and going, what can I do with this? And then just having a bit of a laugh with it. That's exactly. And then the Christmas version was a shark because
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
obviously it was cow versus shark, and then it was reindeer versus cow.
That was it. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, fucking hell, I forgot.
was
And I
a
made.
stream.
Did you ever see this top trumps I made for them?
No.
Well, I'll send
No.
it.
Okay.
One day I'll put them back up. I
Yeah,
made
yeah.
actual top trumps for cow and shark. They're out
Okay.
there somewhere. So.
I'll put that as a post on the Instagram when we promote this. That would be fantastic.
Me and like my shark pose.
There we go. I remember in that stream, because it was like the tail end. It might have been the beginning actually of December.
Yeah.
And you were kind of hyping it up on Monday and saying on Friday we're going to do like a crazy stream. And there's a point in that stream where you're just pissing yourself laughing, like, I'm so hot, but I can't take this onesie off because I don't want to break character. And you're having this proper like reflective moment whilst dressed as a fucking shark.
Just like, oh God, where am I in my life?
Yeah.
But that was, do you know what? I miss those. I think
yeah.
That's kind of because we've kind of gone really calm now. We're just like chatting streams. I think we do need those wildness. There's so many things like that. There was like Through the Lookhole. Did you ever see Through the Lookhole, where me and Grimbles watched episodes of Through the Keyhole and judged people's houses? But Grimbles never really judged the house. Grimbles just judged the presenter. Look at this fucking posh twat. It was just so funny. These are all like things that are all, even you've seen 765, you've seen the How Old Are You song. They're all things where my brain was 20 minutes before the stream.
Yeah.
I've got an idea for you, mate. And I'd be like, oh God, okay. And we just stop making something just 20 minutes before.
I think it's really important to capitalize on those moments.
Yeah.
This morning I wrote a ton of questions for you. Yeah. And when I'm in that moment, I couldn't give a fuck if my house is burning down. Yeah. I'm finishing that fucking note on my phone.
Yeah.
And you have to capitalize on that, because I'm not a very I'll do it later kind of person. It either happens now or it doesn't happen.
No, I'm the same.
And when that spark hits you, you have to move and you have to action it. Definitely.
You're absolutely right.
So on that, how did you learn to use programs and systems on your computer like OBS, Streamlabs, or whatever you use? Did you find yourself doing it incrementally as the stream started growing, or did you start watching courses? Or
so I think I started with Streamlabs because it was, I think a lot of people do, because it's very easy to jump into. But basically what I did was, I don't sleep much, so I was up at like 5 every morning, and I'd have these two, and over pandemic I'd had like 2 hours, 3 hours every morning when no one was awake, and so I was just watching YouTube videos on how to do it. And I hate not knowing. If I'm using a system, I hate not knowing how to use it. So I'd have OBS up, and I'd have like EPOS Vox YouTube videos. Or if I wanted to learn a specific thing, I'd be like, is there a way to do this, into Google, which is what I used to do when I was making networks back in the day. And that's pretty much 90% of IT, by the way, is Google, if you're a listener. So that's what I do. I just Google it. And then I get like 12-year-old kid from India showing me exactly what I need to. I was like, oh, thanks, man. And I spent like 4 hours, and not like live, just he made a whole video about it. And I'd be like, Jesus, he's a 12-year-old. He knows way more than me. And and I'd learn it. And that's, everyone always like says, I get messages all the time. How do you do this? How do you do that? And I used to talk people through it, like teach them how to do it step by step. But now I just send them the videos that I learned to do it, because otherwise you've seen it. If something breaks on stream, I just like dun, 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 and it's fixed. But if you don't know that, then it's it panics. Like, you don't know how to do it, or you don't know So now I just send them videos. But yeah, just videos, just YouTube videos and the Q&As and stuff that they're seeing. So I started with Streamlabs, obviously Streamlabs stealing Scum, and then I moved on to OBS because I wanted to do so much more. And now you've been on our stream. It is a cacophony of chaos. It is every single effect. Anytime I have an effect, it's all we use forever. And I did, like you said, I did have a background at one point, and I actually miss it a little bit, but this does give us a little bit more freedom. We can just go and do whatever we want, and I kind of like it.
No, fair enough. There was a backdrop where I think in a couple of weeks ago, you saw like a bit of drama on your chat, and someone was talking about potentially having sexual relations with someone, and you were like, right, bear with me 2 seconds, and you changed your backdrop to like a cafe, and you were like, come in the cafe, let's have a gossip.
They're all there. I still do that. I've got like a little office if we've got to have a serious talk. I've got a library. There's a whole out. So I've got my apartment, I've got the alley behind my apartment, and then each of the different doors leads to a different place, and I've got all the different scenes. But shall I tell you what, I spent a weekend building that, and no one gave a shit, Ben. No one gave a shit. So I was like, okay, we'll just use those every now and then. And now I've just got my standard ones. But I think I love them, but they are very much, each room is built for something very different. Like the cafe's got the chat coming down the wall so that you can see it on screen, and it's different, isn't it? It's different, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I love it.
Constantly riding that wave. Keeping yourself
different thing every day.
Different
thing every day. I work in a different office every day, essentially. This is just rented.
Love it. So we've got 5 more minutes, and then we're going to unfortunately have to jump over to another Zoom.
It's fun.
So the question I can ask you in that time is: do you consider yourself to be a geek, or do you find that to actually be quite an offensive throwaway comment these days, where everything is padded?
No, I love it. Geek, nerd, pariah, whatever you want to call it. I love it. I'm looking at my original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over there. Johnny Silverhand, a 40k Sister of Battle, Batman, just like it within reach of me. I love the fact that I'm a geek. There is literally nothing I like more about me than I love the fact that I'm a geek, because when I was at school, it was something people used to bully you with, and I think that the most important thing you can ever do to bullies is take the thing that they use against you and turn it into your power, turn it into your strength. And it's something that we do with our kids. And we're like, right, if you are geeky, be a geek. Just be that. So that's what I am, unashamedly. People come into the house and they walk into our hall, and the first thing they see is a Bucky O'Hare poster that is like an art piece. And then the next thing as they walk up is alternative covers for X-Men comics. So they know, and then my wife's decor takes over, and it's a bit nicer and a bit more. We're both very eclectic. We've got like these things called lampalopes. We've each got one, which are like metal antelope, geometric metal antelopes covered in rope lights, and they're random bits that we got in charity shops. But I love it, mate. I don't know why you wouldn't love being a geek now. It's perfect.
Yeah, I remember at school I was called a boffin, and I think...
Bloody hell, did you go to a posh school, Ben?
No, I didn't. I don't know. A lot of people think that. But I was like, I'm not a boffin. And then I realised, what's actually wrong with being a boffin?
No, it's when you're older.
I want good grades. What's wrong with that? Like, I'm trying to apply myself and actually figure out who the hell I am.
I want a career.
32 years later, I still don't know. But there we go. Right,
who knows?
Just going to go to a quick break. Absolute bedlam. Fancy brushing up on your fitness and joining a community of fitness people that want to help you with your physical and your mental health? Community full of fighters? Then join Optimus U. If you go to www.optimusu.co.uk, you read about their story and how it came to be. They are proud to be 100% sustainable. And one of the most important things for me personally when I went on a bit of a fitness adventure last year was, when I'm jogging 2 to 3 times a week, the clothing that I wear has to be comfortable and it has to make me feel confident when I'm out and about. So if you're training for that half marathon, or you just want to get a bit more active and be a bit more conscious of what you eat, Optimus U has your back. So prime yourself for fitness with Optimus U. Code Bedlam10 at checkout.
will get you 10% off your order.
Absolute bedlam. Zoom number 3, Return of the Zoom. Here we are. So, improv comedy. I've mentioned this to you previously.
Did.
And you then told me that you've never done improv in your life. And I thought, do you know what? When have I ever not doubled down? Fuck it. Let's go for it.
Improv comedy.
So I want you to pretend that you are on Dragon's Den.
Right.
And you want to sell the idea of a knife and fork to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, just sell the idea of a knife and fork to you.
Yeah.
I've got a story about this in a minute.
Okay.
About a similar situation, but yeah.
Okay.
What now? Just straight off? I don't think you should.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it.
I don't know what's comedy about this, but I will try.
I'll pay you after.
Can you pay me after?
Buymeacoffee.com, right?
Yeah, Kofi. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, let's go for it.
I'll sell you the idea of a knife and fork. Have you ever been on a date and you're sitting there and you're eating your food and you think, this would be so much easier if I didn't have to use my hands? And you reach up to touch her face and you realize it's covered in egg.
Yeah.
Her hand and your hand and now her face. And you think, egg isn't the most romantic of things.
Yeah.
Do you know what you could use instead?
What could I use?
You could use a knife and fork. I don't know if you've ever heard of these before, knives and forks.
No,
they're an invention invented by Mr. Knife and Mrs. Fork back in the year 1407.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
In Versailles. And I don't know if it existed back then, but they made it exist. And what you do is, instead of grabbing the plate and slamming your face into it, just over and over and over again, you instead use this knife and fork to cut away at it delicately. However, they do also serve secondary things that you can do with them. They do serve secondary. Look, I've just forgotten the word for it. Irrelevant. They do serve secondary action. Stop trying to do that, Chris. They do serve. Why'd you start that again? They're also weapons. Now, your hands may be deadly. It doesn't matter how well trained you are with deadly weapons. Without deadly weapons, your hands are never going to be enough. So if you're attacked by something that is still alive and you need to eat it, you're never going to be able to do that with just your hands, especially if it's bison, buffalo, pork, anything slightly larger than a gecko. You should get these. The only other option, of course, is that I have a knife and fork in this room and you don't have a knife and fork in this room. And if you don't go all in on this, I'm going to eat you. And you can't stop me. You can't stop me. There's absolutely no way. You don't have any defense, as far as I'm concerned. I can't believe you managed to do this naked. Why are we even in this room? Who are all these people watching? Why did you bring a pork? Why'd you bring a pork? That's how why'd you bring a whole pork?
What's your name again? Sorry. Pork. What's your name again? You've not even introduced yourself.
My name is Stephen Witherkins.
Right. If I donate you 50 quid right now from this pile of cash that I've obnoxiously bought with me, because I've obviously ran out of money in the real banks, will you piss off and stop trying to sell us shit? If
you give me the whole pile of money, I will eat it in front of you.
What, with a knife and fork?
With a knife and fork.
You're staying true to your brand.
Yeah, I will definitely. I am so convinced that these are better. I'll eat all of that money in under 30 seconds. I'm
going to invest.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to leave.
Sorry. No worries. There we go. The ultimate Uno reverse card. I love it.
Yeah. You can never give anyone the weapon against them.
There we go. I think that was bordering on extortion, but do you know what?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I can actually tell you that when I was younger, I got my first office job. I was in recruitment, and then I got headhunted by someone else who found out I'd only been in recruitment for 3 months, and I was already recruiting MTV's cameramen because I was the only one that had any technical know-how. And another recruitment company got in touch and was like, "Oh, come and join us." And I said yes, and they said you need to be able to drive and all of this stuff. And I had to do 10 hours of interviews. I couldn't drive. I took driving lessons and they paid for a car, and I had a car, and I learned to drive 2 days before I started there. Anyway, they made me do 10 hours of interviews, and one of them was I had to invent a product and then sell it to them. I had to invent a product it was a ridiculous ego trip for these people. And it turned out the company was only 6 people and they were still putting all their chairs together and stuff. It was ridiculous, but I was only there for 6 months, and then I made a lot of money and they bought me a car, and then I left and I was 23.
So you're skirting over the fact that you actually did that and you were successful.
Yeah.
Wow. What did you invent?
It was called the Credder. It was a tiny little pocket-sized credit card shredder for rich people. So you're out on the town and you realize that you need to get rid of your credit card. And so you take it out, it's about the size of a credit card. You put it, can you believe I remember this? And it's got like blades inside. And when you put your credit card on one side and you drag it across, and when it comes out the other side, it's all bits of plastic. There you go.
I love that.
Perfect.
There we go. Don't steal that idea. It is part of Papa Glitch Incorporated.
It's been 18 years. If someone wants to do it, you go for it. Just on the dawn of us absolutely getting rid of all credit cards, absolutely start using that.
Physical money. What's that? Yeah,
this is my wallet now. My whole watch. I just boop.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for doing that improv. I appreciate it. I know you're not a performing monkey.
Making me do that uncomfortable thing with you. That was really
all right.
Awkward. Super weird.
That's getting clipped straight up. Right. What is the worst film that you've ever watched on your Twitch series? I know that you do this on every Friday.
I don't know. What was the name of that one? It was The Man Who Saved the World.
Oh yeah, was it like quite religious?
Yes, but it was Turkish Star Wars.
That was it. Yeah.
So it was such a weird film. It was all in Turkish. Do you remember, did you watch it with us?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Did you see that the closed captions were like auto-generated? So they weren't. It turned out that we thought that they were closed captions badly written, but what it was doing was it was taking the Turkish words from the audio and trying to make them English words, but not translating them, just like with how it sounds. So it was so not only was it like not only was it completely mental, it was also like the words were all wrong, and the whole film has been like, it's got the text scroll from Star Wars at the beginning of it. Brilliant. It starts with the there's bits of like TIE fighter footage. You see the Death Star. It's so weird. Yeah. And then there's bits, but then it's got this whole other story about a man melting down a sword, a big lightning sword, and turning it into a pair of boots and gauntlets. And then we watched the sequel, Son of the Man Who Saved the World. And that was actually like, all right. But I think that was the worst. We also saw The Sword and the Dragon, that's the historical one, and that turned out to be hilarious because it was supposed to be a very serious fantasy thing based on like folklore from wherever this country was, and it had like musical numbers with rabbits in, and the so-called dragon in the title appeared a minute before the end of the film.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah,
so good. But yeah, The Man Who Saved it. So, and the fight. It was so good. Watch it again.
Love
10
that.
10. 10
awesome. So within the comedy sphere, who inspires you, and where do you see yourself getting your influences from? And I think I know one of these.
Who inspires me now? I don't know who inspires me now, because now I'm more like, it's more about digital stuff. So, but I was inspired coming up. I was inspired by like Robin Williams and Eddie Izzard and Victoria Wood and Rowan Atkinson. People like, very obvious, Monty Python, all of those people. But it was definitely Robin Williams. Robin Williams was like my number one inspiration. Yeah. And he went through a lot of struggles. He went through all his problems, and I'd gone through very similar issues. And so he was right. The thing I remember is I watched Live at the Met when I was like 7, 8, 9. I can't remember because it was 87 it was made, so I would have been 5, but it was after that. And I remember watching it and going, oh, you can talk about dark stuff in a funny way. And then I've always done that. I've always like been open about stuff, and I've talked about things that everyone normally finds I would say distasteful, but it's not really distasteful, but just you wouldn't talk about it socially, but I talk about it no matter what. And that And it always did. And then when he died, Robin Williams was like, the only celebrity I cried over. I remember.
Yeah.
I know I remember because I was headlining Boardmasters Festival, which like as a comedian, not as an entertainer. And I know that because Snoop Dogg was the headline act on the main stage, and I was the comedy headline act. And I was like, how the fuck are people even in this tent? Why go and watch Snoop Dogg? Get out! Why are you even here? But then I went back, and I went back and there was a very like, you know, you're up on a stage doing it to all these people, like doing comedy to all these people at this big festival. Snoop Dogg's on another stage, and you go to, or did he even perform? I don't know. And there was big wins, and then you go back to a tent that you're sleeping in, and you're like, well, that's me back down to earth. But I got back to the tent, and we just got signal on our phones because we couldn't get it in the thing, and it was like Robin Williams died, and I was just in my tent after this like show, and with my wife, and I was like crying, and I was like, I can't believe it. It's like my dad's died. And it was a massive Robin Williams, massive influence. Even everything from like Hook and, you know, even Flubber and stuff like that. You know, and The Fisher King and movies like that, rather than being funny. Because I was like, you can be everything. He was a Renaissance man. He was everything. Yeah, he was. But as for current influences, like Mike Birbiglia is a really big influence of mine at the moment. Or he has been for years. I absolutely love. I mean, Louis C.K. was, and then all the stuff came out about him, and I was I'll stop listening to him completely. Like he was, I went and saw him at Wembley and stuff like that. There was a moment, so like I was so enamored with Louis C.K. I'd written this joke, and then I saw him do it almost identical one on stage, and it made my year. Like he'd written a similar joke the same way, and now I just won't even touch his stuff. Like I bought Horace and Pete when it came out, and now I won't even touch his stuff, because that's what I think. If they, you know, you give people the benefit of the doubt until it's proven without shadow of a doubt, and then at that point you cut them off. That's what I did. But Eddie Izzard, big
I love Eddie Izzard. I love him. He's fantastic. I love all the charity stuff he does as well. That was weird, because I used to like listen to Eddie Izzard without the DVD, and I'd like watch it on YouTube, and it would be like Lego animation stuff. And I didn't realize that that was cross-dressing and transvestite, and it didn't bother me, but it just, to me, it didn't add anything, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be problematic. But
no, I don't think it was meant to ever add anything. I think it was always, so if you ever, there's a great documentary about Eddie Izzard about her growth through her life as a performer, and where she comes from and where she's going to now. And it's really like revealing where he is Eddie, and he's talking about how uncomfortable he is in his clothes and stuff, and then he starts being Eddie Izzard, and she now is very confident and very comfortable with themselves. And before, there's a great bit where she puts on new clothes and comes out to everyone and is like, this is what I'm going to perform as. And it's like seeing someone being born like that. Oh my God, that's who they've always been. Where, and it's just, you can see in her eyes and stuff that was, she'd been holding it all in. And so seeing it out, I think it's a really touching documentary. Like,
I'll check that out.
It's Eddie Izzard's got one, and there's another one called Rock and Roll Nerd, which is Tim Minchin's one. It's very similar, and you see kind of not about the trans side of things, but about the transition from being someone society and your peers expect you to be to someone you have always wanted to be. And that's what Tim Minchin did, a very similar thing where he completely changed his appearance. And
I like Tim Minchin. Cool. Is Matt Berry in your list of influences as well?
Oh, but I not my influences. Okay. It's only because I've got quite a similar. So this is my accent, but this is my accent that I've developed. I'm going to try and get into it. So how I actually talk is a bit different. It talks like this. When I actually talk properly, I talk like I was taught by my mum. I talk in a very English way, a very middle accent. This is my real accent. Whereas when I relax, this is my performance accent. This is actually what I've developed over the years. So Matt Berry is only a couple of octaves deeper or an octave
Yeah.
deeper. So when I talk normally, he's just there. He's just like, he's almost father. He's just like a little bit below my thing. So he's actually we've got the same accent, but he's got a deeper voice. And so sometimes I've never thought I could do a very good impression of him. I know people who could do very good impressions, but sometimes on stream I'll realize that I'm talking the same way as Matt Berry because it's funny.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
It's funny to talk like that,
Okay.
and because I love doing voices, so I'll often slip into that.
There we go. So, are you involved in any charity causes? Because I know that you've done some streams for a certain charity. Do you still do that now, or was that a one-off?
No, we've done a bunch. Am I allowed to say the charity?
Yeah, of course you can.
said so.
Yeah,
so we do Samaritan Night Watches.
That was it. Forgot.
And that's all right. We're doing another one in May. We tend to do them every 6 months, so because you don't want to flood. Like bigger streamers can do them regularly, and it's they've got a big enough turnover of viewers that it's not exhausting. Because it is. We don't want to be reminded of horrible stuff all the time. And I think sometimes streamers do it for the wrong reason. They do charity call. They're like, we're going to do a charity stream in a hope that it will boost their numbers. Where actually it should be the other way around. You should be using your community for good. But yeah, Samaritans, big help. The truth is, like, I had a very good friend, my best friend James. He used the Samaritans when he was going through a really tough time, and they really helped him. And now we help them because they can just be there when you're at the lowest, and they can talk you up to being a little bit above doing something silly. And it's not silly. Oh, that's not the right way. It's such an old way of putting it.
I get what you mean.
Something that you don't really want to do, but in the moment feels like you should. Impulsive, because that's usually what it is. It's usually what it is. And we do support them. So we do regularly, and I'm even in their advert. So if you see their advert for it, but well, it's because we did what were we doing? I was sticking stuff to my face and Grimbles
that was it.
Funny doing things. But we're going to do another one we're doing one in May. So I'll be talking about that. I think we're running a Dungeons, Dragons and Democracy for it. So it's like where the chat plays a character and I run the game, and that's it. It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Awesome. 2 more questions, and then we've got the standard ABP questions.
Do it.
How is the trumpet doing?
It's bad. I haven't touched it in months. I'm not going to lie to you. I jump from thing to thing. I will learn a song on an instrument and then put it down, but it will get there eventually. I'm looking at it now. It's over there. And I've got the ukulele that I started just there, and I've got the harmonica just here, and we've got the keyboard. Being ADHD is being a musician with a house full of instruments that you can't play is what it is. I used to play trombone. I got to grade 8, and so then I think I can just pick it. And then I did this. I fell off my bike, and I severed. Can you see it? I severed all the tendons in my right arm.
Oh Jesus!
And I had to stop. I had to stop, and I was like, "Oh, trumpet is a bit. It doesn't require that motion. I can't do it for too long. And that motion, but unfortunately, we do have neighbours, and they don't enjoy the trumpet as much as I
it's
do.
a shame.
It's a shame.
Who knew, eh? There we go.
Who knew?
There's a Twitch streamer that I watch quite a lot, and she's got a question for you. She's called Bakeface, and she's from Canada. Yeah, Bakeface. It's like Bake Off, but Bake Off and Face Off join forces.
I like it. I could eat a peach cobbler for hours.
She wants to know your work-life balance, and do you feel that you're working 24 hours a day because you're always networking and posting stuff on Twitch and trying to keep relevant? And
so you were talking about burnout earlier, and I am burnt out at the moment. I've been in therapy and stuff, but I was in therapy for other things. But I'm very open about the fact that I CPTSD and stuff. But burnout had made it much worse, and I've been trying to go through it. And when you hit burnout, there's not really much. You're supposed to rest, and I can't. Yeah. When you're self-employed, it's just impossible. And yes, I am always on, and to the point where I feel guilty about taking days off. So you'll know I had my first holiday in 3 years. 2 weeks ago, and it was great, but it was really weird coming back. So I had a holiday of 3 years, and then yesterday I had a day of video games to myself without being streaming or anything, and that was the first one I'd had a long time, like I don't know when. And what was really weird about it was I'd planned to play Elden Ring, and I just kept playing the same little game over and over again. And no, but it's always like everything is for work. If I'm posting on social media, it's because I'm putting something funny up. If it's, you know, if I want to talk in Discord, it's because I want to make sure that everyone's happy. And it's, you know, actually most people in Discord are now like my friends. That's how I consider them. But it is all part of the work, you know. It's not, and you do get very stressed. So work-life balance, I'd say, is very difficult to balance. But I do it by going for walks and stuff. Trying to spend some time not thinking about stream.
No, fair enough. What do you call your community people? What are they known as?
Oh, the glitches. They're the glitches. What up, glitches? That's what I say. That's my thing. What up, glitches? Glitches are best. I almost said something rude there. Realized that.
Nice.
Glitches.
Quick fire questions. So I'm just going to quickly switch notes. I think I know these off the top of my head now, which is a bit much, to be honest.
My answers or your questions?
The questions.
Okay.
So just say the first thing that comes into your head. It's like you're in therapy, right?
Okay.
Baby Bell or cheese string?
Baby Bell.
Kinder Egg. Is it a toy or is it a chocolatey treat with a toy inside?
It's a chocolate.
Okay. Very quick. Camping.
You said quick.
Tent or static caravan for 1 week?
Tent. Jesus, do it right.
There we go. Go all in. City or countryside?
Countryside. Get away from me, everyone.
Chocolate or sweets?
Chocolate. I like to melt it in my mouth.
Bath or shower?
Shower every single time.
Okay. That's the quick fire bits. If you could go to, if you had to go to prison, not if you want to go.
If you could go.
You got paid 10K a day,
but
it's a maximum security prison and anything could happen to you.
Cool.
How long would you be willing to stay in prison?
What's the maximum amount of time?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You get a meal. I don't have to worry about council tax. There's a workout thing. I might get a husband. There's loads of like stuff there. I'd have a working shower. There's all this stuff that's very positive, where in England right now the energy bills are rising, everything is on the side of your landlord. It would be brilliant. 6 years in prison, and I'd come out looking amazing. You can imagine, I'd have tattoos, I'd have muscles. Love it. I'd love it. Just, I wouldn't have to worry about. I know that is very flippantly describing something that is a very dark and deep topic to other people, but in a jokey kind of way. That's where we're sticking with. I would say that 6 years in prison would probably be all right. I'd get some reading done.
Yeah,
I'd have a bed to myself.
I like that now 6 years is my max, because you put me on the spot and I just went, 6 years.
6 years. Good. 6 years tax evasion. That's what 6 years is.
There we go. Minor inconveniences. Do you have anything that you want to get off your chest? Slightly annoying things that piss you off day to day.
Yeah, there's lots. What's the thing? There's lots. So I fucking hate people that say, I don't understand this newfangled technology. And I don't just mean old people, I mean anyone. And it's like contactless cards. It's been around for years, mate. It's easier. It's more secure. The worst one is people that are like, oh, you're unlocking your phone with your thumb. That's not secure. Mate, your password's 0000. How is my thumb less secure than your... My mum, right? My mum used to work for IT. She was the head of IT for Mitsubishi Electric Europe. Huge company. Yeah. And she wasn't when I was growing up. She was when she was older. And she has all now, as a retired person, has her password stored in a file on her desktop marked as passwords. That is... She should know. She should know that that's bad. Yep. She can't be like, I don't understand this newfangled. She used to install that newfangled technology. She's doing it on purpose. So people that do that, I can't imagine those people that are dying of like food poisoning, those cavemen that die of food. I don't understand this newfangled fire. I can't do it. Just, that's what I hate that. So you can see how angry it makes me. It does, especially when people are like faffing. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Yes, you did, mate. It's 2022.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
So I had an epiphany last week for this episode, and I emailed my personal email address from my work email address with 3 words.
Okay.
Overly green bananas.
Overly green bananas.
Because you can't fucking do anything with them. You can buy them from the shop.
Yes.
But then you've got to put it in a fruit bowl as if it was at the shop and let it chill out for 5 days.
At least.
And if you try and eat them, they're literally like solid. It's like trying to eat ice.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And often they'll go from overly green to off. There's they never get to the banana, the perfect banana stage. It's a pain. I agree with you, Ben. Those are disgusting.
I'm glad. There we go. Right. Last question.
Let's do it.
Before we get into the meal deal question, of course.
Meal deal question.
Chris, favorite free video games?
Free video games. Currently, it is Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, which you can get, which has just come out of beta again. Because I was one of their testers last year, and it's like I hate like battle royales normally, but this is like being a vampire and running around with guns in a Belgian city, and it is brilliant. It's so much fun. Really love it. You run up the side of buildings, and being an old school geek, I used to play Vampire the Masquerade roleplay game and stuff, and you run up the side of buildings as a vampire, and then you sat there with a sniper rifle, and you've either got super strength because you're the Bruja, or you can turn invisible because you're Nosferatu, or you can charm people because they're Toreador, and it's super fun. So you can get it on Steam. I agree. I would have said Fall Guys on the PS4 when it was given away a few years ago, but that is Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. There you go.
Yeah. There we go. Fantastic. So, last question, as we've just discussed, meal deal. So I want to know your meal deal, and then we want Grimbles to drop his meal deal.
He'll tell you. He's sat here waiting. Hi, mate. Okay. So I had trouble with this because I don't eat that kind of food. I never have. And I don't know any meal deals. So I had to think of, I had to text people, and I was like, what meal deals exist? And I still don't have an answer for you, because I would go, the way I'd do it is if I had, so I'm guessing that a meal deal is like a £5, yeah? That's what we average, or £3.80 or whatever it is.
It's £3 at Tesco's, sandwich, crisp, and drink if you have a club card. If you don't have a club card, you immediately get set fire to.
Okay, cool. So here's what you could do. Here's what I would have done with £3. I'd go into Aldi and I'd get hummus, which is 80p. I'd get tortillas, which are 80p. I'd get a whole thing of a 6-pack of tropical drink, which is £1.20, and that is £3. Or that is $2.80 that I've just spent. And I'll go and with the remaining 20p, I will get the cheapest bar of white chocolate, which is my favorite, and I'll take it through the self-service, and I'll go out and I've got like a massive beautiful meal, which is, that's my problem, is that I will always just walk in. I'll go, how much have I got? Right, we're off to the value section. I don't really understand it. People have said Boots has improved, but I've never eaten. I would never go to Boots and be like, oh yeah, I used to get my film developed there. That's where I get the medication for my cystitis. That's where I'll get my meals. That's not the thought process. Dorito, cheapest, not the mega cheapest. They're the bad ones. You want the mid-range, tortillas, then caramelized onion hummus, and white chocolate, and then a 6-pack of tropical drink called Tropical Blast, which sounds like something you do on holiday as a romance thing.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Mid-range.
You want to hear Grimbles?
I do.
Mid-range. You want to hear Grimbles? Grimbles, mate. Have you got a meal deal? I got a meal deal. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm a bit more sophisticated. Okay, I got a meal deal. Okay, what's your meal deal? I've been thinking about a lot. I eat a lot of meal deals. When do you eat a lot of meal deals? You leave me alone a lot. I need to go out. Okay, well, what are you eating? Is it like a space thing? Like, is it like intergalactic sandwiches? No, mate. I don't know if you know, but I'm quite good. I'm doing well. I like the sushi meal deal from Waitrose. Are you middle class fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, you get like a pack of California rolls and some edamame beans, and then you get some like a drink, and that's about £7. But why not splash out? Treat yourself.
No.
Jesus Christ, mate. Jesus. Is that where my money's going? No, it's the central heating. You told me it was the central heating. I think it's because you've been having Itsu bloody meal deals. What's going on? I haven't tried the Boots one. It's a big down market for me. Okay, you can go. You can go.
Thank you for everything you do, Grimbles.
He's not
What
coming.
a legend.
What are you doing down there? I've fallen over. Why does it smell of fish?
Fantastic.
That's from yesterday. Okay.
Dirty bugger.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Is there anything that you want to promote? Is there anything that's coming up in the future that is... What's up? What's going on?
What's up? What's up? Oh, what's up? I think nothing's coming up other than my standard daily weekday streams and my YouTube. So you can find everything. Look on it's Papa Glitch _ on Twitch, annoyingly. But it's probably easier if you go chris-pg.com. That's my website, and that's got like everything on it. I don't update the main page much, but it's got all the links, so there's going to be a lot of YouTube videos and TikTok videos going up soon, and that's going to be a bunch of funny stuff and among other things. There's some gaming things, there's some funny things. Tomorrow night I'm on, oh no, it doesn't matter what's happening tomorrow night because this is not going out tomorrow night. But I do regularly do video game reviews for BBC Radio, so you can hang out and listen to that every now and then. But yeah, come out and hang out with me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Papa Glitch _.
Awesome.
That's it. Yeah, that's where I am.
Great.
Find me on Twitter. I'm hilarious on Twitter.
Yeah, you upload quite frequently on Twitter. And
love it. It's like my thought process. I use it as a notebook.
Yeah, you do like a advent calendar at December as well, don't you? Like every day.
Yeah, joke advent calendar.
Joke advent calendar, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, other than on Twitch, where it's just text. And me just saying mental shit and hoping that you'll say it. So,
I try to. I try to say as much as possible.
There we
It's
go.
been lovely talking to you, Ben.
You too. Take care and keep it bedlam out there, guys. All right.
Absolute bedlam.
Wild Hair UK. Wild Hair are based in Hampshire, and they make amazing beard oil and beard balm care products for all of your masculine needs. So we've got Rose, which is patchouli, bergamot and sweet orange flavour. So we've got quite a lot going on here. Really nice, smells really good, and you can tell that this is made by a chef. So Chef Ollie Moore has been in the business of catering for 18 years, and he's taken his love of the kitchen and he's put it into these products. We've also got Joanna, which is amber, leather, orange and raspberry profile. Smells incredible. Everyone I've sent, samples to, and everyone that's experienced this in person has gone, bloody hell, that's really nice. It's not just generic stuff from the shops. CPSR certified, and it's also known as confidence in a box. So I use this myself. It smells really good. Couldn't be happier with the results. So I've hooked you up. Go to wildhairuk.co.uk and use code BEDLAMUK at checkout for 15% off the products.
Absolute bedlam.